We are just going to get started. Um, and I'm going to share my screen. Uh, you pull this up. All right. Hopefully everybody can see that. Um, and yeah, okay. So just to get this out of the way first, little disclaimer. Um, this is like not substitute for professional advice, et cetera, et cetera. uh, just so we have our legal butts covered in case anybody decides to do something crazy and blame it on us. You're fully responsible for whatever you do with what you learn here. Um, yeah, okay. So let's uh let's get into it. Um, First, have you ever noticed that there's been some like situations in your life that just seem to like repeat and happen over and over again? Um, Different faces, different places, but there's that same kind of emotional quality to it. Like how many people do you know who end up in the same toxic relationship over and over again, or who find themselves with the same financial struggles or the same bad habits, um, self-sabotaging patterns and addictions and God knows what else. I'm sure you can all relate to this kind of thing. Or have you noticed, um, have you ever like repeated and rehearsed an argument in your head way after it's already done? And you're like, oh, I should have said this, or, I shouldn't have done that. Um, Looping thoughts, like I don't feel safe, or I'll never have enough, or I'm not worthy, or I don't deserve it. Um, in particular, emotional triggers that don't make any sense. Um, I posted on my Substack. Some of you might have seen it kind of leading up to this. I had a friend who she would get super triggered, like to the point of like she would like lose her shit and like start throwing tantrums anytime she saw yellow shorts. Anytime somebody was wearing yellow shorts, she would just like lose her mind. Um, that is a very particular indicator um, of what you could consider a trauma of some kind of unprocessed memory. Anytime there's an emotional trigger that don't seem to make any logical sense, that's very significant to what we're gonna be talking about today. So if you've noticed any of these patterns in your life, um, what we're gonna break down today in this workshop is going to give you a new perspective on that I would probably bet money that you haven't heard before. These are like very new things, some very sort of new conclusions that I've been able to put together based on the work I've done with clients just over the last few months, and also with the help of Megan, who is my co-host here today. Uh, Megan, say hello.
Hello.
Yay. Okay. Well, I'll introduce Megan properly in just a little bit. Um, and Some of you know me already, some of you don't. So just a little quick introduction for those of you who don't know me. Um, we just ran through all this stuff last night, and I realized if I tell you all of this stuff, that's going to take way too long. So I'll just like highlight a few things. Um, starting from, I'll start from about here. Um, my parents had a business. It was actually a toy store. I basically grew up in a toy store until about age 12, and that whole thing went kaput when I was about 12, and we ended up in millions in debt. Um, which is really where a lot of the financial struggles I've experienced in my life started, where a lot of those kind of patterns started being set. Um, then around 13, there were kind of two significant tracks that kicked off in my life around the same time. Um, One was that I read one of those like scammy BizOp sales pages about, how you can make $30,000 a month, clicking a few buttons, sitting at your kitchen table in your underwear kind of thing. And turned out to be a bunch of crap. But what happened was there was this big light bulb that turned on in my head where I suddenly realized, oh my goodness, it's possible to make money on the internet. And, I know how to use the internet. And, I think I'm pretty smart, so I can probably figure that out. And if I can figure that out, that means I never have to get a real job. Um, so that was the big light bulb moment for me that kind of started me down the entrepreneurial track. And also around the same time, I came across this spiritual book that really just blew my brain right open and got me into a pretty very serious spiritual rabbit hole from a very young age. Um, at 16, one of the things that happened was this like family debt situation had escalated to the point where the bank called us one day and said, you have about 3 months to move out because we're going to take your house and we're going to sell it so that you can pay for your debts. So we were forced to move out of our house. Um, and that same year, I also dropped out of school. I went about 2 months to high school. Was the just that summer before starting school, I'd started to make some money as a copywriter, as a freelance direct response copywriter, and I had like a couple $1,000s in the bank from doing that. And I was sitting in class all day wondering, what the hell am I doing here? I could be working on my business. So I just walked out on the lunch break one day and I never came back. Um, Actually, I went down to the office to tell them I'm not coming back, and then I left. Um, so I around 23, I guess. I was running a Facebook ads agency with a business partner, and we had been able to build that up to about $26,000 a month within like 6 months. So we had this like insane growth spurt, and it was the first time I ever saw any kind of real money. It was the most money I'd seen at that time in my life, and I pretty much immediately um, lost all of my drive and motivation, and I just didn't want to work, and everything just felt like this huge weight and a drag. And I also discovered like partying and drugs at the same time, and my life just spiraled completely out of control. And I'd been studying this self-help and spiritual stuff for so long, and like I couldn't figure out why this was happening to me. I distinctly remember the feeling of feeling like my whole life was like falling apart around me and there was nothing I could do about it. There was this very distinct sense of like powerlessness about it. So it's like I was just watching everything fall apart around me. Um, and this was really where I started to become more aware of these patterns. And I had like, I had been in I don't know, dozens and dozens of different businesses at that point, just like trying to make something work. And we finally made something work. And like, it, then I started failing instead. So I had hit actually the same income ceiling in about like four different businesses in a row. And that's what made me realize, like, oh, maybe it doesn't matter so much what business I'm in or what I'm doing, what strategies or tactics I'm using, what fucking like funnel I'm doing or anything like that. Like maybe it's just all in my head. if I'm not like ready to be at a higher level than this, is like energetically speaking, like there's no way that that can happen, no matter how much no matter how like clever I am or what I'm doing. Um, and that's what drove me to really figure out all of this like mindset stuff. And really um drove me all the way down that rabbit hole just to figure that out for myself. Um, the other thing I'll mention is that in 2022, at 28, I had I remember it was like January 2022. I had a pretty big month and I had like an extra like $10,000 in the bank. And there was this event that I'd been wanting to attend for years at that point, which was it was like a $3,000 weekend event. There's this company that they do these events all over the world. And I finally had the chance to go. So I thought I would take that opportunity. And there was one happening in Mexico. So I booked the trip. I was supposed to go to Mexico on June 15, 2022. And I waited 6 months for this and like I was so excited. I had everything ready. I had my bags packed that morning. I was supposed to just wake up and go to the airport. And on that day I was supposed to travel, I woke up with COVID and I was like sick as a dog and I had to cancel the trip. And I emailed the company who was hosting this event and I told them about what happened. I had to send them a medical certificate to prove I wasn't bullshitting. But I basically said, can I get a refund for this? And if not, could I possibly book another event at a different time and location? And well, I couldn't get a refund, but I could book another time and place. So I looked at the list of available dates, and most of them were either in places that were like really far away and inaccessible, or there were COVID restrictions, so I couldn't get there. And it turned out that literally the only place I could go to was in Israel, in Tel Aviv. So I ended up going to Israel in September 2022. I had 4 days in Tel Aviv, and then I went for 2 days to Jerusalem. And a lot of like crazy weird stuff started happening after I had been to Jerusalem. Even during that trip, there were some quite interesting like manifestational type stuff that started happening. Um, one of them was actually that month that we just found out from a client that they had fired their whole sales team and we weren't going to receive our commissions, or it was like something like that. I was feeling a bit a bit worried, I guess you could say. Um, because here was this money thing again, right? Um, and I had a little moment. I had just checked into my Airbnb in Jerusalem and I was looking out the window. And I had a thought process that went something like this. I thought, hey, I've been in situations like this more times than I can count. And somehow, some way, I've always made it through. Somehow, I've always been supported. Somehow, there's always been enough. And it just seemed like, logically speaking, it didn't seem logical that that support would suddenly just go away. So I was just able to sort of release that and I sort of let that go and I felt my nervous system calming down a little bit. And 30 minutes later, I get a call from my business partner and he says, hey, I just got this new client to run some Google ads for. Could you help me make a landing page for them? I'll give you $500. So um, I could do that in like 30 minutes. So here was just like $500 fell in my lap. Another maybe hour, maybe 2 hours later, I get a call from a a prominent festival organizer in Thailand, and they had this big event coming up, and they said they needed some help with running the ads. And I set up a little campaign for them, and that was like another $1,000. So literally in about 2 hours from me just like having that thought, I had $1,500 just kind of fell in my lap. Um, and then that was my first day in Jerusalem. So right after that, I went to check out the old city of Jerusalem, what they used to call Zion. And I went to see the Wailing Wall, and I walked on the Via Dolorosa, which is allegedly where Jesus carried the cross and all of that. And I went to visit the Church of the Old Sepulchre, where is supposedly where his gravesite is. So like I went to see all of these places, and then as I was leaving. So there's Jerusalem, like the city, and then there's the old city of Jerusalem, which is contained within these walls, right? And I was just as I was leaving, I was standing on the sidewalk just outside of the walls, and I get this text from a good friend of mine who's a DJ. Some of you here might know him, Dan Burry. He's one of my best friends, and he just sends me this text, and he says, hey, my new track just came out today. I was wondering if you wouldn't mind like sharing it on your socials. And interestingly, in all the time that I've known him, um, which is like 7 years or something. Um, he's had a lot of releases, but this is the only time that he's ever asked me to share something on my socials. And then he sends me the track, and it turns out the name of the track was Zion. And I reply to him like, "Bro, I'm literally in Zion right now," and I like sent him the picture. Um, so yeah, all kinds of funny things started happening, and following that, I started getting like weirdly exposed to all kinds of like Christian themed stuff. Um, and this has been like the biggest plot twist of my life. Like I grew up um pretty much like skeptical atheist. I was never into Christianity at all. And most of the Christians I met seemed like not like the people I wanted to hang out with, generally speaking. So this was all kind of like surprising to me. Um, and it'll make sense why I'm mentioning that in a moment. But just to kind of finish up here, um, at the end of that year, 2022, um, all of the business stuff I'd been doing prior that like came to an abrupt stop. All of that sort of fell apart again. And by the end of the year, I had found myself back to square one once again. I went back to Sweden, which is where I'm from. I flew back on New Year's Eve 2022. Um, and I just wanted to like figure out what the heck am I going to do? And I had known for a while that I was kind of moving in this direction of doing coaching stuff and whatnot. And I just stumbled across this thing called RRT, which is rapid resolution therapy. I saw a little video clip from the founder of RRT, uh, Dr. John Connolly, where he was working with a woman who she had been raped like 40 years ago. And she was like massively overweight, and she needed a walker just to like get around. And he was just talking to her, and it's like, none of the therapies she had tried before had helped. And he basically just had a 20-minute conversation with her, just looked like a normal conversation. And by the end of that, that whole thing was totally clear. She looked like a completely different person, and by the time she left, she didn't even need the walker anymore. And I was like, what the hell did he just do? Like, what the heck is that? And turned out they were doing their introductory 16-hour training that same month. I borrowed some money to sign up for that because it really seemed like the right thing to do. I got into the training and um and yeah, so that's where all of this started that I'm doing here. And it was through that training that I met Megan here also. Um, Around that time, um, I remember one day I was just sitting at the kitchen table and it started vibrating like right here, like literally like random like muscle spasms in my forehead. And I'd heard about this third eye thing that we're all supposed to have, but I never really thought about it or thought about it seriously. But at the same time, it was like, what's that? Like, what's going on with that? And then I started noticing as I was doing sessions with people that the way that I would know that something had cleared or shifted for the people that I was working with was because I could feel it. I could feel almost it feels like these like ripples or like waves of energy, which it's taken me a long time to sort of put together what that was about. But what I have concluded now is basically that, first of all, we all have these like vibrational fields around our bodies. And when you are in connection with someone, there is an actual energetic vibrational connection in the field. Um, and it was pretty clear to me that there was some kind of energetic, non-physical connection going on because otherwise how would I be able to feel when something shifted for somebody else, you know? Um, I remember even my very first session after my training, by the end of that session, like my whole crown just like lit up and my whole head was like vibrating. And so that was a pretty cool start to my coaching career. Um, so all that leading up to now, throughout that like I was in training for like about a year and a couple months, and I was very intensely engaged with that. I racked up about 500 hours of training in that time, and leading up to now, I have probably about 1,000 hours of like one-to-one clinical experience with clients, and on top of that, like literally tens of thousands of hours of study and obsession, basically going back to when I was 13. So yeah, this stuff has been my entire life, more or less. So yeah, I'm now working with people all over the world to align their mind, body, and spirit with their innate power, potential, and purpose. Um, I want to tell you a little story about what happened very recently when I was in Copenhagen, uh, which is where I met Guillaume and Anna, who are in the room with us now. I met them during that trip. About a week after I met them, I went to this party. There's this very famous party called Eden Garden that I had heard about like 8 years ago, and I was finally going, and I was with my two friends, Nikki and Roma, or these two people here, and in this little picture, you can't really see them, um, but on the day that we were leaving to go to the party. Again, a bunch of kind of funny things started happening. Um, so yeah, as we were preparing to leave, Nikki she was like jokingly saying like, "Oh, we're finally going to get Linus baptized at Eden," because it was going to be my first time there. Um, I asked her, hey, what should I wear? Like, is it going to be hot? Like, what do you think? And she said, curiously, like very, very definitively, she said, wear swimwear, which I thought that was pretty funny because like neither of them were wearing swimwear. But I'm like, okay. I asked her about it later, and she was just like, "Oh, I thought you might like to swim." Um, but yeah, so there we were. We went to the party and it's like out on these rocks basically, And one of the first things that happened when we got there was we were standing up on these rocks, like above the water, and Nikki, she has this little it's a little like golden straw, which was it kind of had some sentimental value for her, and she drops it. Like it's the first thing that happens. She drops it. We hear it go like clink 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 on the rocks, and it falls in the water, and she runs after it. She's like, "Oh no!" And we're both like, forget about it. Like there's no use. Like it's in the ocean, Um, and so she loses that, and as we're gonna head back into the party, and I slip and fall on the rocks. And as you can see, I can like cut myself up, my whole arm, my right arm, my left leg, both my feet, and both my hands. In fact, I noticed that each one of my fingertips had like what got like sliced up. So I basically like sliced up all of my fingertips. Um, and on top of that, there was this, as you can see in this picture here, I got this line sort of sliced into my hand. Um, and if you like, I'm not really into like palmistry or anything like that, but just the way this cut lined up, I thought it looked very curious and peculiar. So I kind of read about it a little bit, and it turns out that this line here is apparently the heart line. This line here is the headline, and this vertical one here is the fate line. And one of the things I've been studying over the last year is something called the Enneagram, which is basically a map of how your personality works. And I am what you would call a five wing four. So I am right in between the five and the four here, which it's actually the most rare personality type because of this gap here. Is the furthest between any of the numbers. Some of the teachers of the Enneagram, they call this the existential hole. Um, so according to my own personality type, my own like spiritual journey and my growth path in life has everything to do with uh, integrating the head and the heart. So the five is in the head center and the four is in the heart center. So I'm like right in between here. Um, and now I got that like line carved in my hand that perfectly connects heart, head, and fate. So I don't know, make of that what you will. I just thought that was like kind of cool. Um, so then the sun started coming up, so it's like sunrise, and Roma he looks over at me and he said. He's like, "Hey, bro, I think you should really go in the water and like clean up your wounds." And like something about how he said it, it just sounded like the best idea I'd ever heard in my life. And I just like knew I had to go into the water. And yeah, so I go in. Um, as you can see here, this picture was taken from right here. So I was like laying right here. Um, and then there's maybe like a 10-15 minute gap here where I don't quite remember what happened. I just like kind of went somewhere. And the next thing I know, there was this memory that bubbled up from the surface from when I was 3 years old. And I almost drowned. And, you know, with all this work I do, like I clear trauma for people in just about every session. And from my study of the Enneagram, I've also realized how early traumatic memories shape the personality structure. So when this memory came up, like I instantly knew what it was. And uh, I went up to Nikki and I just said, fear of drowning. Like that's it. Like I got it. Like it was like my whole life just made sense in light of this one memory. All of my patterns, all of my dysfunctions. all of my shadows, um, even this like financial issue that had been going on that I had been at this point trying to figure out for like decades. I didn't know exactly. I knew there was something like I could see all of these like dysfunctional patterns, and I had kind of already figured that there must be some kind of trauma there, but I just hadn't been able to pinpoint it. But I realized the way that's always felt to me was literally like it's like I'm always trying to catch my breath. Um, and the type 5 in particular on the Enneagram has a lot to do with one, there is this like retentiveness, this like holding back. Um, at the same time that there is a fear of depleting your resources. And that's been like me my whole life. The sense of like being held back from life and a constant fear of depleting my resources, whether that's about depleting my energy or depleting my money or like whatever it is. Um, and even that made perfect sense in light of this memory. It's like my whole life, I've just been trying to like get some space for myself so I can catch my breath. And literally one of the most shocking revelations of my life, and everything just like everything about me just suddenly made sense. Um, then I hear Roma, he's calling over to me, and I'm just kind of floating around in the water, and he's like, "Hey, could you go and like look over there where Nikki dropped that straw and see if you can find it?" So I went over there to those rocks, and it's not really a big space like that whole area. And I'm looking around for like maybe 10, 15 minutes. I can't find it and I can't find it. And I'm looking around and I can't find it. And I'm almost about to give up. And then I had this little moment where I just closed my eyes and I saw it in my mind's eye. I think clearer than I've ever seen anything in my mind's eye before. It was like an HD high resolution picture. I could see it so clearly. There was like the rock was kind of sloping down, and then there was the surface of the water like that. And just under the surface of the water, I saw it, and I imagined myself reaching out and grabbing it. And I opened my eyes, and about maybe 20 seconds later, there it was, exactly the way I had seen it. Like it was the same picture that was first in my head, and now it was here, and I found it. And it was in the same area that I'd already been looking for like 15 minutes, but suddenly there it was. Um, I really had the like again, you can make of that what you will, but my feeling was that I had like somehow just like materialized it. It is my most direct experience of manifestation. I've had these sort of manifestation type experiences for like decades at this point, but this was certainly the fastest that I've ever experienced it. And I picked up the straw and I went back over to them and I just went like this out of the water and I just saw their both of their jaws basically drop to the floor and they were like speechless for a while. They just couldn't believe that I had found it. And so also this day, this sunrise was on Easter of all days. It was Easter Sunday. So basically I kind of started putting it all together. I first of all, I made a blood sacrifice on the rocks, and then I got baptized in the water at a place called Eden Garden, of all things, on Easter. And then I performed a miracle in front of two witnesses. Um, and I just found the scripture passage where basically they say you need two or three witnesses in order to verify a miracle. So um, and I just like a couple days ago or last week I read this definition of what a baptism actually is, and this guy, he calls it a second form of birth that cleanses the harm from our childhood while also inviting us to return to what wounded us as children so that our eyes may be opened to the gift of who we are and what we can become. So even though there wasn't any kind of priest in charge of that, what actually happened turned out to be pretty much a baptism, like in the biblical sense of it. Literally, my first, so that memory is basically, I think, my first ever experience of fear, my first trauma, the first time that my mind and body learned that I need to protect myself, which then kind of set the seed for um, all of these patterns, which are basically based on your defense strategies for coping with life, is very much at the heart of what shapes your personality structure. So, we'll in a moment we'll get into how all of this is relevant to you. Before we get to that, there are three little perspectives that you kind of need to get about how your mind works and how trauma works, um, in order for all of this to make sense. So we'll begin with talking a little bit about how your mind works, in particular your unconscious mind. So basically, your mind mainly cares about one thing, and that is it really wants to make sure that you're not dead. It cares about survival above anything else. So that's why the like survival emotions, which are mainly fear and anger, where fear is like running away from stuff so you can survive. Anger is attacking stuff so you can survive. Um, Neither of those will, and you've probably noticed this for yourself, they won't like fold so easily just because you don't like it, because it's about survival, and survival will override just about everything else. I call this the rattlesnake problem, which is basically this. Say you wake up one day, and just to give some credit, I got this from Michael Singer. But yeah, basically, if you wake up one day and say there's a rattlesnake in your bedroom, I I bet you can't look away. I bet you can't stop thinking about it. And then here comes the spiritual guru, and he says, oh, you just have to let it go. You just have to surrender. And then you're like, bro, there's a fucking rattlesnake. So that's that's the rattlesnake problem. In other words, when the mind perceives a threat, it like fixates on it. It locks in, and it just sort of takes over everything else. Um, so the way that your mind is programmed to survive is that it is always responding and reacting to sensory data, the data that is coming through your senses. So, for instance, right now, you're hearing the sound of my voice. That's auditory data that's going through your ears. Your mind is processing that data and like make sense of it so that you can understand it. Um, there's visual data coming through your eyes, and your mind is processing that data so that you can understand it. So it's always taking in data and then reacting to that data, and it tries to optimize for what's most likely to cause you to survive. Um, Now, in comparison to other life forms, we have this peculiar ability to imagine stuff. We can, in other words, we can think about stuff that isn't happening. Other life forms can't do that. They can't even conceive of stuff that isn't happening right in front of them. So we have that same, what you could call kind of the primitive part of the mind, which is hooked into your nervous system, um, that works just in that way. So we have this kind of primitive brain, and then we have this sort of more advanced brain that kind of grew on top of it. And because, like, when you're thinking about stuff that isn't happening, you're literally manufacturing data in your own mind, and then this unconscious part of the mind will respond and react to that data as if it's happening. So, in other words, it doesn't understand this thing called time. Whatever data is going through your mind, it will react to it as if it's happening. So I hope that makes sense. Um, so when we get then to what you could think of as a trauma, what happens with that is one, the mind has perceived a threat, and in those situations where it also seems like there's no way out of the threat, there is no escape, there is no way out. When those things come together, the mind basically will take a snapshot, like a high-res screenshot of everything that was happening in that moment, and it will kind of flag it as something dangerous, and it will basically create this like programming pattern in your mind to want to avoid anything that's even remotely similar to any of that data. Like I told you about my friend who would throw tantrums anytime she saw yellow shorts. So you might wonder, like, what's threatening about yellow shorts? Well, it's not exactly about the shorts, but there had been a disturbing event in her life where somebody just happened to be wearing yellow shorts. And the mind had fixated on that data and flagged it as a threat. Um, then the other thing that kind of causes us to sort of bring this with us through time is this other thing that humans like to do that other life forms don't do, which is we tell all kinds of stories and we give meaning to things. Um, so the story I usually use is when I got punched in the face the first time when I was about 11. There were these two older kids that on bicycles, and I remember them sort of. I had yelled something out at them because I was in a really good mood and I was just making silly noises. And I remember them slamming the brakes, and then this kid ran up to me, punched me in the face, and then said, "Give me money." And the whole thing was over pretty quick. But I remember when I was walking home from that, I was just thinking, like, man, I'm such a coward. I didn't even fight back. I was just kind of frozen there. Like I'd been taking these kung fu lessons. I thought I was supposed to be able to handle this kind of thing, but I didn't do anything. Like I'm such a coward. What a loser. So in other words, meaning. It's when you figure, what does this data, what does this event, what does it mean about me and who I am? And we start developing these narratives about who we are based on the meaning we've applied to things. Um, so all of that put together will basically you'll end up with your mind not actually processing that memory through. Most of the things that you experience, they go straight from this like incoming data through your senses, and it just goes right into storage. So it's just like stuff you can remember, but there's no particular emotion about it. But when the mind has fixated on a memory like this, it's reading it and responding to it as if it's constantly happening. So with this like fear of drowning memory, for instance, basically there had been some part of my brain that this whole time was thinking that I'm drowning. So um, let's talk about vibrations. And I'd just like you to think in a particular way with me for a moment. We know from science and that basically everything in the universe is made up of energy, and this energy is vibrating. And depending on the vibration determines how that shows up for us. Even our senses are essentially translators of vibration. So all the visual data coming through your eyes, that is light vibrations within a particular spectrum. Auditory data, those are sound frequencies, we call them hertz. Everything is based on frequency, and our senses are tuned to a particular range of frequencies, which is a very, 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 very small set of, I think the number is about 0.0035% of the total electromagnetic field is what we're able to perceive with our senses. So basically nothing in comparison to all of these vibrations that are going on. Which means then every thought that you think carries a vibration. Um, and these vibrations then are broadcasting a field around your body. And this is actually something that we can measure. There are devices that can measure vibrational frequencies outside of your head, which basically proves to us that there are indeed vibrations emanating from our heads. Our nervous systems are essentially like antennas that are broadcasting and receiving frequencies. So everything going on within your psyche is what's generating this field all around you. And when we connect with others, there is, as I mentioned, a connection in this vibrational field. These fields will link up, and wherever those frequencies are matching is the things that you will connect over. That's you might have noticed you like being on the same vibe with people. People like to say that a lot, but I don't know how many have kind of put it together that being on the same vibe with someone isn't just like some metaphorical thing, but literally what happens. And there's a relatively new field of science that is called collective neuroscience, where they have found that when people are, quote, vibing with each other, the neurons in their brain actually start to mirror each other. It's sort of like they're dancing to the same rhythm. Um, and if you've ever been on a dance floor, you might have noticed this, that it's this feeling of sort of merging with the collective. And if you think about it, you've got these big speakers and they're all broadcasting these frequencies. And because consciousness is all about frequency, everybody's senses are tuned to that same frequency. And then that frequency actually translates, or you could say manifests through the physical systems in the form of your dance moves. So everybody literally starts physically moving to the same rhythm, and their brain starts to link up, and it actually creates this collective field on the whole dance floor. And even just like hanging out with friends, or anytime there's any kind of shared activity that you're doing with others, there's actually a collective vibrational field that gets established. So a trauma is unprocessed memory data that your mind has fixated on. So guess what? If there's some memory in your brain that your mind thinks is going on and unconsciously reacting and responding to, those memories in turn are generating a field all around you, which, because frequencies seek harmony, will attract to you whatever is in alignment or whatever is a match to that frequencies. So there are pretty much inescapable manifestational consequences to the vibrations going on in your field, and you can't override the laws of physics. So if you've got these patterns and stuff that I mentioned at the start, If you notice that no amount of discipline or self-control can overcome that, this might give you a little clue as to why. And it really, I spent so many years trying to understand this whole notion of like abundance mindset and all of this stuff, like trying to solve my own patterns. And I now realize, how the heck was I supposed to solve that? Just from like reading these books or like whatever, because it all was linked back to this memory. It didn't matter how much I understood logically about what to do or anything like that, because it was linked to this memory. Um, I'll give you a few other examples. Um, I had one client who he came and told me that he had this thing with chocolate. He would like overeat, and he said, anytime at work that he was feeling a bit stressed out, he would get this intense chocolate craving, and he would go down from his office to the store downstairs, and there was this particular chocolate that he really liked, and he would like buy out the whole rack, and he would just munch away. And turned out that was linked to a memory from when he was about 7, I think, when he was sitting in front of the TV eating chocolate. And he told me that his parents were like quite tough on him. So, anytime he finished his homework, they gave him more shit to do. And he had learned that the way he could get a break from that was if he was eating something in front of the TV, they would like leave him alone for like half an hour and he could get some space. Um, in other words, it was a 7-year-old's defense strategy against this like intrusion that he had learned. If I eat chocolate, then I can be safe. Um, I had a client recently who was feeling like a bit lost in his business. It was kind of going well for him, but he was feeling like not sure what direction to go next, and there was some anxiety about that. And we found this memory. Also from about age 7 when he got lost in the supermarket. So, in other words, there was this part of his brain that was looping on this memory this whole time, basically thinking that he's still lost in the supermarket. It created that vibration, and that vibration will just sort of seep into everything. It literally forms the lens of your whole experience. So everything gets filtered through that vibration. So the vibration of lost in the supermarket applied to the rest of his life, filtered into his business, same vibration. Make sense? Okay. Um, so there are memories and also beliefs that are sort of fixed in your unconscious mind. Your nervous system is like a radio antenna that's expressing these frequencies as your vibrational field, attracting to you matching events, experiences, people, situations. And I have found also through my work that unprocessed memories are at the root of the entire personality structure. Um, with a whole bunch of clients now, after also figuring out their Enneagram type, um, over and over again, I keep finding these memories that are exactly the kind of memories that would lead into um, their personality type. And this is something like I haven't actually heard anybody talking about this. And I guess the people that study personalities, I mean, they're usually not hypnotists. Um, they don't usually work directly with trauma. So I guess on some level it kind of makes sense that not a lot of people have put this together. Um, and probably somebody has. I haven't read every book in the world, but just from what I've seen, I haven't seen anybody talking about this. But this is a pattern that I keep finding over and over and over again in my sessions. Usually, what these books will talk about is, what forms the personality type is you know, the type 7 usually had parents that were kind of like this and that shaped them in this way. But I haven't really heard anybody make the link with specific trauma memories. So that seems to me quite significant. Um, so um, this vibration. So if we talk about vibration, we can also talk about scales and octaves. So um, this is kind of how I think of how these vibrational patterns translate through your system. So we're starting with this vibration that is being generated by a belief or a trauma um, that will then manifest or express as your thoughts and feelings. Then thoughts and feelings combine to cause actions or expression into the world. So your actions, your behavior, your habits are all um, the initial physical manifestation of this vibrational pattern. Um, and then that in turn will influence the physical world around you. You are moving this vibrational energy into physical terms, into the physical world, which then is what draws back to you physical conditions, circumstances, events, and encounters. Um, so the conclusion from that is that whatever energy you act upon will lead you to more of the same. Um, and that's like a writer downer, by the way. That is like a huge thing. So in other words, if you act on fear, you'll create more fear. If you act on anger, you'll create more anger. If you act on joy or love or whatever it is, you'll create more of the same. So the results or outcomes that you get in your life is actually not so much based on the actions that you take, which is kind of a wild thing to claim, I guess, and pretty much counter to what most self-help teachers would tell you. Most of them are focused in the realm of action, like if you do this, then this will happen. But you might have noticed that sometimes people take exactly the same action and get wildly different outcomes. I would suggest that it is the energy behind the action much more than the action itself that determines the results that you get. Um, if you're selling stuff, you can sell that out of love and service to the other of really wanting to help them, or you can sell from a place of scarcity of I need to sell this thing so that I can get money and get what I need. uh, Same action but different energy driving it, and that is the energy that will then determine the outcomes that you get. So I hope all of that makes sense. And um, with all of that out of the way, I would like to introduce you guys to my co-host here today, Megan. Um, I met Megan in in
What
my
kind of notes are
training.
these?
Sorry.
Schoolyard, Calgary,
Yeah.
Benedita, party tricks.
Yeah,
These are
yeah.
bad notes. Okay.
Yeah, but just some sort of words so to like keep us on track here.
Okay,
Um,
cool.
So when I met Megan, I met her in a clinical hypnosis class, and we started hanging out. And she told me that she's got this ability to like see stuff. Um, so where I have sort of developed this ability to feel and sense vibrational fields, she can actually see them. And I just instantly got totally jealous of that ability. And I yeah, so I kind of asked her to demonstrate, and she was just sort of looking at me, and I remember she said, your field sort of looks like this. She explained that everybody has this like egg shape around them, and you know how some people say they can read auras and stuff. She can't really just see it like that, but she can actually see it in much more detail. So she can see like geometric patterns in it. She can see multiple layers of it, and she can like tune into your energy centers or your chakras and like see what's going on there, see where the energy is blocked, and she can even pick up memories directly from the vibrational field, which is done with me multiple times. She was talking to me one time and she was like, "Oh, I think there was something that happened when you were 14." And she basically picked up the memory of my first breakup, which like totally wrecked me for about a year. Which she had no idea about. I hadn't told her about that, but she picked up that memory directly, which was very exciting for me because it kind of confirmed this vibrational field theory that I'd been slowly putting together for myself. Um, like now it was very clear that these memories were actually being broadcasted through your field because she can like see them. Um, so yeah, Megan, would you tell us a little bit about how all of this um, started for you? Um, Starting in since you were a kid, I guess, in the schoolyard. Would you tell us about
Yeah.
that?
So when I was really young, in like probably primary school, I used to play a game with my friends at recess, and we would play this game where I would tell them about what color they were, and I would tell them things about themselves. Sometimes, most of the time, it was like fun things that would be like pretty empowering for them, I guess, looking back on it, like, wow, you're really good at art. You should do more of it, or whatever a first grader would say.
Hmm.
Um, and that was kind of like how it had began. But I think around third grade of having been playing this game consistently with a lot of my little school friends, one day I outed this other boy in our class in front of everyone about his parents getting a divorce. And he's like, just started bawling his eyes out. And he's like, "You're a bully. Like, why would you do that?" And then I got in trouble, I got detention, and then all of the kids at school hated me after that. So I stopped playing this game completely. My mom found out. They were like, your daughter's lying to kids and like swindling them essentially for attention and time. So that kind of caused a lot of shame for me, where I didn't like one, I started to believe that this was just all like complete bullshit. And two, I just didn't want to have any part in it anymore because it resulted in the loss of like my friends. And
Right.
then that kind of remained that way until I moved to Calgary when I was 12. I don't know why that's there though. Oh yeah, because I ended up living in Calgary.
Your cousins?
Um, oh yeah, when I first moved to Calgary, I forgot about them. I was kind of getting a read on what they were like, and I wasn't calling it a read at the time because I was still in, I don't know, I was still feeling like this was probably something that could get me in trouble. But I just could see these certain colors, and it was more particular around people that I felt would do something that would somehow harm myself or the people I cared most about.
Hmm.
And this happened with a few of my aunts and some of my cousins. One of my cousins is actually like a full-fledged, the one I had a problem with immediately. As soon as I saw him, I told my mom and I was like, I don't like him. Like, I don't want to hang out with him. He's not coming to dinners. And my mom's like, shh, you're being so rude. Um, but yeah, he's like a psychopath now, and I don't know what's going on, but he's done lots of criminal activity, and he's had to go to many things about his, I don't know, therapy for his psychopathy. Not my pig, not my farm. But that was kind of what had been the initial read I had on him when I first met him. And then his parents, I kind of like understood and knew the dynamic immediately. I would tell my mom, like, I think that this is what's going on between like this auntie and that uncle right now. And I think that these are the problems that they have in their marriage. And my mom would always get mad at me about it. And then later on, when I'm supposed to be in bed, I'd hear her gossiping about how she found out all this tea about my auntie and my uncle. And I like, guess who was right? It was frickin' me. I was right. Um, and so that had happened. And then, and then I guess in university would be the next thing.
Yeah.
So that was when I first moved to Calgary when I was 12. In my first year of university, I was 17 turning 18. And I had become extremely atheist at this point. That was like my hardcore identity. Mostly because, oh, I forgot to mention, when I was 12, I had another aunt that tried to get me to do a lot of crazy stuff and devote my life to Jesus. And there was some, she was also, I think, in a cult or something, but she wanted me and my little sister to just do weird stuff for Jesus. I'll leave it at that.
Hmm.
And so from that, it gave me this extreme distaste for religious people, Christians specifically. I know Linus just told us all about
Hmm.
his Christian stuff, but I was like, I can't stand them. They're all crazy. I
No, I
only
get it.
believe in science and evolution, and I don't care about anything else. And these fun little games of like reading things, like who cares? Like it's just a game. So in my first year of university, I was in a psychology class. And you know how I don't know if you guys have all been to like university or whatever, but usually most of the kids are around your same age. But this one lady, she was like double everyone's age, and her name was Benedita. I didn't know her at all, nor did she really stand out to me at all in the class. Um, and then one day I'm walking towards the university like cafeteria area. It's like a little food court. And I hear this person shouting, Megan, Megan, Megan. And she runs up to me and she's like, "Ah, God told me I had to speak to you right now. Come sit with me." And I was like, what the fuck? Like, no, you're crazy. And I went anyway because I was like, I don't have anyone to eat lunch with, I guess. So I'll sit with you for now. So we sat down together and she's like, "Do you remember me? I'm from your class. Benedita. My name is Benedita," which I looked it up later with Linus and it means blessed. Um, she's like, "God told me I had to find you and talk to you. I'm not even studying psychology, but I'm in a psychology class because like, God told me I had to join. And now I know why. It was to find you." And I was like, dude, like, I don't know what kind of recruitment scheme you've got going on here, but I am not interested. And she's like, "No, no, 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 no. God told me I need to tell you that you have the gift of seeing in people." And I was like, ew, like, that's so gross. I'm gonna throw up. And so she's like, "No, no, no, let me prove it to you right now. Let me prove it." So she pulls out her phone and she's like, "Here's a picture of this guy, and I want you to just look at him and read him." And I looked at her like she was absolutely bananas. And I was like, "I don't know who this is. Like, is it your brother or something?" She's like, "I'm not going to tell you anything about him. You tell me what you think my relationship is with him. You tell me what you see about him." And at this point, I had pretty much blocked off all memories of even playing these childish games in my youth. But I was like, whatever. After like a while, she convinced me that we had to skip class because I needed to do this. And she was like holding my arm, like, I don't know, I was a bit of a people pleaser, so I didn't want to like run away or anything. So I just stayed and I was like, okay, fine. But finally, I did kind of tell her about this guy. And I ended up just staring at the photo and just, I don't know. I was like, I'm just talking shit. I don't know what any of this means, but like, this guy's got this going on. I think he has two female figures in his life that he cares deeply for. One might be like a parent of sorts, or maybe not a parent, but like a maternal figure. One might be a sister or somebody he considers close, like a sister. Like, he doesn't want to bang them, but I feel like you think he wants to bang them. And she's like, "Oh my God, what do you think my relationship with?" And I was like, "Yeah, you're obsessed with this guy." She's like, "Oh my God, how did you know?" And I was like, "I don't know. It's like freaking obvious, isn't it? Like, why would you tell me to read a picture of a random dude?" Anyway, she continued to get me to try to read pictures. She would like f show up out of nowhere on campus and be like, Megan, I need you to read more photos. And I just started to be like, this girl is freaking insane, number one. Or like full-grown lady chasing me down on school campus. And also she's like pumping my tires so much and just like making literal shit up. Like I could say anything. I could say like this guy is like actually, I don't know, he's actually a pig in disguise as a human. And she'd be like, oh my God, yeah, that's so right. That's how I felt she was. So she actually started bringing other friends to come and get their photos read. And I was like, I think they're all a part of this cult together. So I have to get away. I want nothing to do with Jesus or your God. Like, get out of here. So that was kind of like the initial piece of it coming back into my life more recently. After university, I moved to Vancouver, which is where I am now in Canada. And I've found that any time that I was at a party and I had had drinks, I would become more free and uninhibited, which like there's this whole other thing where it opens up your field and your energetic field for both infiltration, but also for you to like be more extroverted. But I would do like this little party trick with people. I would tell people like, yeah, I had this experience with this crazy lady in university. She claims that everything I say is real when I look at somebody's picture, and I think it's like cold reading or something. And so then people just started asking me to do readings for them. And then from there, it turned into like tarot readings, oracle card readings, like readings through crystals and all that kind of stuff, which at the same time, I was still feeling a little bit skeptical given my past. But I think after that had happened and I kept having like only feedback that seemed like I was like hitting something, a friend of mine set me up with his friend. And his friend was like, for some reason, his friend got a picture of me, and I didn't get a picture of him, which I thought was super rude. I was like, is he super ugly? Like, why don't I have a photo of him? But he texted me and he's like, I think you're cute. We should go out. And I was like, okay, well, I don't know what you look like, so you better send me a photo. And then he sent me a photo of himself with like these two girls on either arm. And I was like, yeah, I don't think we're a vibe. Sorry. Like, I don't want to go out with you. And he's like, well, why not? And I was like, I don't know. I've been like playing this party trick a lot recently, and I feel like it's kind of like a way that I look at things sometimes, especially if I'm assessing whether or not I want to give my energy to a particular situation with somebody. So he's like, what do you mean? And so I kind of explained the whole stuff that I just explained to you guys. And he was super intrigued. He's like, well, even if we don't go on a date, like, can you do one for me? And I was like, well, I haven't had alcohol. Do you want to like DoorDash me some or like I don't know, Uber Eats me like I just need like a 2-6 or something. And he's like, well, it's like 11 a.m. Can you just like do it? And I'm like, fine, fine. So I was like, I'll try it sober. Um, and I didn't feel comfortable reading him because I felt like it was weird. And so I said, like, I don't want to read you, but I'll read the other people in your field. And he's like, yeah, okay, I want you to read them. And I was like, okay, don't tell me anything about them. But also this is bullshit. Like I'm just playing this for fun. It might like it's just a silly game. Each of those friends a little bit about their history and or like kind of a vibe of where they were at that time of their life. And he was like freaking out. And I was like, hey, like, I know you want to sleep with me because I'm like way cuter than you are, but like, you need to chill. And he was like, no, 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 that was like so on point. You got my friends so good. And I was like, hey, well, whatever. He's like, okay, do mine now, please. Like, I'll pay you if you'll do it for me. And I was like, okay, fine. So I was like, you don't have to pay me. I'll just read it for you. And the thing that I ended up pulling up, which was really interesting to me, was there is something in his field around the age of 6 that had happened that was as significant in his life as a trauma would be, but it wasn't traumatic for him. He actually had a really positive outlook about it, and he also felt like it was like meaningful, but not in a way that distorted him or made him feel disempowered, which typically a trauma will make somebody feel like they've lost power or lost energy towards moving towards where they want to go. So I was telling him about this, and he's like, "Oh my God, I've never told anybody this in my entire life." And I was like, "What? Did you just really enjoy having sex with your dad at 6?" And he's like, "No, Megan, that's messed up. Don't say that. That didn't happen." And I was like, "I know, it was just a joke." And so then he was like, I accidentally went, he was being babysat by his uncle, and he went into the refrigerator and he was looking for candy as like children would, and he started mowing down these chocolates. And then the chocolates ended up actually being mushroom chocolates. So he had like an insane experience at that time that has stuck with him for the rest of his life because it happened at such a young age. So he's like, that's exactly like what this trauma would be. But it's not really a trauma because of how positively I view it. And I was like, okay, that's really cool, but like, whatever. I didn't date him. Um, later on, I did end up going and kind of allowing myself to be more into like the spiritual community and the spiritual world just because I decided like okay, I've been so resolved in science my whole life that if I can do spiritual stuff and gain magic powers, then what's the worst that's going to happen? I'll either get magic powers or I'm going to get a better understanding on how a specific group of people view the world, which I love to understand that kind of stuff. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to do it. So I jumped in and I signed up for a Reiki class and I got my Reiki master's. There's like level one, two, three. I did the whole thing. And the entire time that I was doing it, there's like hands-on one-on-one practice with each other. And I was also noticing that I was getting like visuals of all of the chakras. I was getting visuals sometimes of like I can only explain it like it's a bit abstract, but I can kind of get like a glimmer or a tiny glimpse within a pocket of what could be like an aspect or an area of your life that might have been transformational and or significant for some reason in what you're experiencing right now, if that makes sense. So I did that. I actually ended up going and learning how to like become a breathwork person. And then I got interested in like holographic repatterning and all of this other like quantum jumping and leaping, this, that, the other. And then I found RRT, just like Linus did. That's exactly where we met in a clinical hypnosis class. When I first saw him, it was in a class of like 50 people on Zoom. There is no slideshow in that one either. It was just like this old man talking. And for some reason, Linus's face, like I was just kind of scrolling through to see like who was in the class. And I was like, I have to talk to this guy. And I didn't understand why or what, but I saw him post on the like group forum because it's like a little community that we are in. And he's like, hey, I'm like open to help anybody that's new or like wants to talk. And I was like, hey, like we have to meet. And then it's like 2 years later, and now we're here. So
Yeah, yeah,
that's it.
awesome. Um, so just in the interest of time, I want to actually get started doing some readings for people. I guess that's what a lot of people came for. And just
We should go over the laws first, maybe
yeah,
really fast.
so that's I just wanted to do that first. So yeah, tell us about the laws and how they came to you.
So these three laws kind of came to me at different points of playing this little reading game of people. They came when I was older. Obviously, I don't think I had any discernment as like a small child in the schoolyard. The first law of consent governs access came to me, and all three of these came as though there was like somebody shouting inside of my head at me that wasn't me. And I was like, this is a law that has to be obeyed. And if it isn't obeyed, then there is going to be a trade-off, and that trade-off is going to be something that's not going to be good for either the person that's receiving the reading or the person that's giving it. Either way, I don't want there to be any negative effects on people. So when I had been doing readings in university with Benedita, one of the reasons why I kind of started to distance myself from doing that other than like being skeptical and thinking she's like a cult leader or something, was that she started to ask more and more in-depth and personal questions about different people that I had no idea about. And I started to get this extreme, like, no, you cannot do this. And if you do, there will be ramifications, and they're not going to be good for you or her or for the person that you're essentially like siphoning and stealing their energy and information from. So, there has to be consent in order for a reading to be done. If the consent isn't there, you can't do it. And there's also a difference between an egoic consent versus a soul consent. So lately, I've noticed more a difference where somebody will ask me to know a little bit more about a particular thing. And I also hear the same, like, it's not a voice that I hear, but it kind of feels like that. But it's like this really loud thundering in my head that's like, no. And it's because I can tell that in their soul or in their soul contract or path, they're not meant to know this part yet. Because if I tell them something, this leads into law two. A spoken future is a changed future. As soon as I speak something out, my words are spells. That's why they call it spelling. As soon as anybody speaks anything out, it's a spell. If I was to say something is going to happen to Linus, for example, then I am changing his trajectory, either by cementing it in further and trying to force him into the life path and that permutation of his timeline, or it could also result in him being so in resistance of that timeline happening that he's now thrown off the original track that he actually had chosen to be on. So, speaking future, especially future where it's, I would call a solidified future, examples would be like, in 3 exact months, you're going to meet a person and their name is going to start with the letter D and they're going to be giving you the big D. Like, that's a freaking, like, that's a big no-no because that is speaking into the future, a solidified future. It could be, hey, you're on the way to meeting somebody that you're going to feel really fulfilled with. I can see that for you. However, the rest of it is like that is meant for you to discover. That's part of why we're even here is like to be surprised by what the universe has in store for us, not to know everything about how everything is supposed to happen. That one came to me um when I was talking to that guy that wanted to go on a date that I didn't go on a date with, the like one that ate mushrooms when he was 6, because he was so intrigued about whatever I had told him that he was like, I really want you to tell me the future. Nobody had ever asked me this before, but the same exact feeling of like thunder through my head and body of like, no, you cannot because it's going to be like taking away their free will and or forcing something upon a group of people, or a particular person. I don't know the butterfly effect, so it usually does end up affecting a group of people. Cannot be done. And then that leads us to the third law and the last one that I figured out so far. Maybe more will come through as I start practicing this. Is that all guidance must be empowering. I did speak with a friend, a very dear friend of mine. She's on the call. I'm not gonna mention them, but I just wanted to share this story anonymously where she had mentioned that she had seen somebody as a psychic previously, and what they had said to her had been deeply disempowering. They had essentially told her that she had traumas that she didn't have and that she had more problems and like just trying to make her feel essentially bad. And then they also were really like, oh, by the way, like, time's up. You owe us more money now if you want me to finish telling you the rest of the bad news. Which, like, that's obviously not empowering for anybody. One, it's putting hooks onto a person and their auric field into try to like gain a dependency from them, either siphoning their energy or siphoning their light or siphoning their money. Um, but this one, I just kind of have been like, I feel like this is the biggest one that like all three of these, of these are the biggest ones that like you can really tell if you're chatting with somebody that is like breaking any of these laws, then there is going to be some sort of a egoic reason why they're trying to keep you stuck and or trying to control you and or trying to go past your personal boundaries or somebody else's personal boundaries just to fetch information in order to like make money or have your attention for a little bit longer. And then yeah, the guidance has to be empowering. The purpose of any of these gifts is not to disempower people, but solely to help empower people and help them to get to where their soul is most aligned to growing to. Those are the three, yeah.
Cool. Um, so, um, when we were, all talking about this, it kind of came to me that, hey, maybe we could combine uh, our talents and skills. And one of the things with doing therapy work is that you always need feedback from people. So anytime I go through a process with somebody, maybe uh, they have their eyes closed and I talk them through something and then I'll always ask like, what did you notice? What did you experience? Because I need that feedback to know how well what I'm doing is working. And I realized that Megan could actually provide this insane feedback mechanism because, first of all, she could pick things up so much quicker than what I often could do. Where she can literally like just look at somebody and instantly pinpoint where they've been feeling stuck. Um, and also, she can directly see how their field is shifting in real time as a result of that. So,
Oh, not in real time.
well, more or less, you can like check and
I
then
think
recheck, right?
you can feel it in real time.
I can, yeah.
Yeah.
So with these two things sort of coming together, we've been doing a couple of experiments so far. We've had three full like one on not one on one, I guess 2-on-1 sessions with people, like little 45-minute sessions, and we've also been experimenting in I host this weekly group class where we've been uh, kind of testing this stuff out. And even just last night, we were able to like clear uh, two traumatic memories within about 30 minutes, which ask your therapist if he can do that. So the initial results so far have been extremely promising, and yeah, so I thought what we would do now is we'll do some readings for people. We'll do some quick ones to begin with. You'll kind of just get a reading so we can get through as many people as possible. And then we'll probably pick like one person to do a clearing for as well. So you can kind of see all of this demonstrated. So I believe. Sasha, you were the first to raise your hand. So let's uh let's start with Sasha. And yeah, Megan. Uh so I guess first of all, Sasha, do we have your consent to
Yeah.
do the field reading? Awesome. Megan, would you do your thing?
Good golly, this makes me feel nervous. There's a bunch of faces on the side of here. Like, whoa. Um,
You got this. You got this.
okay, cool. There's like orange set like over on the, I don't know, are you flipped around? Is this a mirror image or are you the right way? The wall is on this side and there's orange by the wall,
Yeah.
Okay.
whatever side that is. Your left
hmm
side? or your right
Yeah,
side?
my
That's your
left
left side?
side.
Okay. So there's like orange kind of like around the left side of your body here. And I'm seeing, I don't know, maybe I'm just seeing pink up here because your hair is so bright. But there's also some green over on the right side of your body as well. Um, I don't know, Linus, help me out.
Yeah, so is there anything that sort of stands out to you that you're noticing where maybe the energy feels blocked or anything that just seems interesting to you that you can tune into a little deeper?
There's red in your heart.
Mhm.
Not like blood, but like the color red, like energetically. And
Mhm.
it's swirling and trying to constrict in like a small ball of yarn. And like it's not really actually yarn, but that's the best way that I can describe it in a physical sense. It's tangled up and balled up and knotted up. And red is traditionally like a root chakra color. The understanding the chakras has been like kind of helpful for me to like maybe figure out the symbology behind the colors. But orange is sacral chakra, and then green is like heart chakra. And then pink is like I don't know, it's a fun color. But the red in the sacral chakra, it really does li- like it's a security through love. Like there is such a sense of like fulfillment and deep security that's coming through love, not even just in a romantic sense, but even in like a friendship sense. Like these relationships that you have with people, even as just friends, matter so much to you. Like so, so much. But the constricted ball piece feels like there's like a push and pull energy happening at the same time where one's going like it's trying to jump out, but there's like saran wrap on it, so like it can't leave the perimeter. And because it can't leave the perimeter, but it's like permeable, so it can soak up, but it can't leave all the way.
I don't understand that.
I know. Linus, can you ask me better questions to help me understand this better?
Could you, if you tune into all of that, could you find any situation or perhaps even a memory that's been attached to that?
I feel like you were really young, like a toddler or something, like 2 or 3. And I don't know any exact memories, but the feeling of what it looks like, because it's just visuals, is like, I don't even think it was anything that was too crazy. It's just kind of like the way that a toddler would understand if somebody that they really wanted to spend more time with had to go for a little bit. Because whoever had to go did end up like coming back, I think. It's like a yearning sensation.
Okay. Is there anything else that you want to share about what you're noticing.
Like it just looks like outstretched arms reaching for something that you should have. Like I don't see, like I just think that it was a comprehension
Yeah,
issue of like why it couldn't be given to you in the way that you wanted it at the time.
Mm.
yeah,
Want me to give feedback?
Hmm.
sure.
When I was a small child, until I was like a teenager, I guess, I had really bad social anxiety, even as a little kid, and I was really, really shy, and people didn't really pay attention to me, and I was always in the background yearning for attention. And now that I'm older, I get lots of attention, so things worked out for me. But
I love that.
yeah, but when I was a kid, I was so like attention starved, and I felt so sad that people didn't pay attention to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe
Mhm.
that was just linked to whatever happened when you were 2 or 3.
Mm.
It actually reminded me, I had in a meditation a while ago, I had a sort of trauma memory came to mind for me. I was maybe like 4, and my mom was away for a work trip, and my oldest brother, he was like 11 years older, so he was like an early teenager at that time, and he was just like fucking around with me, and he said that Mom, she went to the moon. Um, and yeah, there was just something about that like registered for me as a trauma, because I mean I believed him, right? Like mom's on the moon, like oh no. Um, so at that age we have such a security attachment to our parents. So parent not being around is like extreme level threat. So it certainly makes sense why a memory like that, like even though they came back, that could like kind of get stuck in that way. Um,
Mhm.
I wish we had more time to go more in depth and like fully resolve that, but we do have to move on to the next person. So Bronwyn,
Hey,
what's up?
Hello.
hey.
Hello. Um, yeah, I should have said a better disclaimer is like now that I'm trying to get back in touch and tap into these particular things, Linus has been really helpful because sometimes I don't exactly know where to go with what I'm seeing. And so he's really good because of his ability to like sense, I don't know, like your vibe master flex. So like you're sensing the vibes and you're like, "Oh, I feel the vibe is that way. I feel the vibe is that way." So like um I'm still working on decoding what the symbolism could be because I feel like it's been something I've blocked for a long time. So,
Hmm.
um, Linus I might ask him a lot to ask me
Yeah,
where I
that's
should go.
fine. Um,
Okay.
so yeah, do your thing. And another thing also, I just came up with this last night. So Bronwyn or any of the other participants that we're doing this with, one thing that you can try is actually to also have your eyes closed as Megan is talking, and just maybe a memory will pop into your mind as Megan is tuning in to those particular vibrations. So up to you if you want to try that. Uh, but yeah, Megan, go ahead.
There's like immediate orange energy on like the inside, like on the inner portion of your egg, if that makes sense. There's an
Hmm.
egg, or you're inside of an egg. Everyone's inside of an egg. I don't know, Linus, if you told everyone. Everyone's in
Yeah.
an egg. That's how I see it. Everyone lives inside of an egg. They're just a yolk, and the
Hmm.
rest of it is the egg white, and it shows colors and geometries. And there's a lot of orange on like the nearest part of your body, just kind of outlining it. Like purple dots that are like this, shaped like a ball, stacked. One, two, three, four, six. They're very spherical. They're perfect spheres. With a green in the like sacral area, but like a division. And that feels kind of interesting. The balls look cool, but I don't think that there's. I'm gonna look in this green. It's like a power conflict because I think it's like over the sacral part, but it's a power conflict behind what the heart wants to do and what the power of your soul wants you to do. And the heart, I mean, as in like the ego's desires and the ego's wants. I want to have this. Give me a Lamborghini. I'm just kidding. You don't want a Lamborghini, but this is an example. You want something that you think you want, but you don't even actually really soul level alignment want it, but you've been finding it difficult to chase after it. It's like not, it's like evading you like a bunny. I don't think it's to do with your business, but to do with like a particular connection to somebody. It feels really peaceful when you last connected with this person. Like, yeah, there's a lot of annoyances and stresses from them. Mm. But it's also so it would feel peaceful from where you're standing now. And so there's this choice of I want to be working on doing this thing and moving in this direction. But there's also alignment for you in the opposite direction of where you think you want to go. And I don't really understand how this really makes any sense at all because I don't get it.
Is this
Just,
resonating with you, Bronwyn?
A little. I think it's probably to do with my ex. There's like 1% of me that still wishes he would grow up and be in my life. But then 99% of me is like, no, he's too immature.
Right. Anything else that stands out to you?
well, there's also a lot of yellow in the sacral space, which
Mhm.
is like there's power in your creativity when you do share your creative pursuits. There's like a lot of power that goes into it. Like
Mhm.
you're not putting a lot of energy. I mean, yeah, you put energy into it, but like it's not depleting your energy. It only depletes your energy if there's like a meaning attached to it of like it has to have this and it has to have that, or it needs to do this and it needs to do that. If you're just like creating for the sake of creating and then sharing from that pleasure place, it's like it actually is a very powerful tool of communication for you to other
Mhm.
people. Kind of like field affection, like egg field affection.
Mhm. So
Not
you're
affection like love,
it's-
but there
so
is
you're
affection like love.
So you're saying that when Bronwyn freely shares her creativity, she can actually have a power effect, like vibrationally, on the people that receives it?
I think she knows that already, but also like it, you're like more creative than I think that I ever thought you were. Like I feel like you're like shielding and hiding away like all this secret creative shit. And I'm like, What is it?" And now I'm curious because like I don't think it's just what you've been sharing.
That's probably accurate. I don't normally like sit down to write a song. I wait until it comes to me, but I'm never like quiet enough for it to come to me. So I don't write very often, but when I do write, yeah, I do love it, and I should make more space for that to happen.
I
Awesome.
feel like you're really, really good at it.
Yeah.
And now I just feel like, dang it, what the hell? Like, why haven't I seen all this stuff and experienced it? I want to have a part of
You've
it.
heard me sing though.
I've heard you sing, yeah.
Yeah.
I went to go see Bronwyn sing live actually in Mexico where you never got to make it to, Linus.
Right. That's awesome. Cool. All
Thank you.
right. Thank you, Bronwyn.
Thanks.
Um, Nan, what up?
Hi, guys. Just when we're starting to speak, the neighbor next door start to do construction, so there could be some noise. And when it gets too loud, I'm just gonna mute.
I think Zoom noise cancellation is pretty good these days. So
Yeah.
I've actually had
Okay, I
it
hope
where
so. The
the
drill was pretty big, the one that I saw they were doing.
I had I had a session one time when they were doing construction just on the other side of the wall, and it was like super loud, and I could barely focus, but the other person couldn't hear anything. So I think we're good probably, but let's see.
Okay, I
Um,
hope so. Yeah.
okay, um, Megan,
Oh, hi, Nan.
Um,
You have like this really nice blue. Like a really nice, like light blue. Who did I see that on recently? It's just so
me, I
lovely.
think.
Was it you? Oh,
Yeah.
maybe you guys are both blue together. I don't
Yeah.
know. It is a nice light blue, but there's also some dark blue in it. Some dark blue with like stripes that are going, um, like what is like this way over the edges of it, and white with red this way. Only in like the section of the shoulders. More so on this one than this one, just lightly here. It's almost like a lot of small, it's all different, like red blood cells. Like, is that a shape? Do you know what I mean when I say that
Sure.
shape? Like it's like a little donut kind of, and it's got a divot on
Yeah.
both sides that's like
Mhm.
equal. Like those shapes. I don't I don't think they're red blood cells, but that's just what they look like.
Mhm.
I feel like people are always, how do I, it's like a sense of like you give everyone candy, like not actually, but like in a metaphor. People feel really sweet to hang around you most of the time. Like that's just kind of like a vibration that I think you carry around. It's like natural. And it's pretty easy for you to have this affect on people without really trying. I feel like you first kind of noticed this effect that you gave to people through like elementary school was when you're like, oh, ha, 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 I have like this power that I could totally use. Because people like really seem to, like, not like in an exploitative way, but like just kind of in like a fun, curious, childlike way. There's like a recognition of like the fact that this was a little bit different about you than like from other people. And then there's like a shape, like what are they called? Trapezoid? Upside down trapezoid, where it's like kind of like a wheelbarrow, like like, but
Hmm.
not really. It's just the shape of the two, like this, like that, and then the like, and it just kind of looks like a divide in like the timeline. I feel like it's like mid-teen. Mid? Mid. Is there such a thing as a mid-teen?
Sure.
15, 16, 17, maybe it's mid-teen? Because I think 18 and 19 are both teens. Adults, but teens, anyways. Mid-teens? There's like a divide where that chunk changes into like a brown and a darker. And then like recently you're more candy. But like I feel like you've been building back towards that for a while. But like nobody sees what you've done to build that back. Like not candy, like they look like red blood cells, but I just think maybe they're candy. The effect of the feeling that it has on the people that are in your field.
Hmm.
Like I guess around the divide time would be like deep in thought and contemplativeness, but like alone, kind of like feeling of being alone. I don't think you're actually really super alone. Maybe on like a walk you could be alone or whatever, but I don't really know how to zoom into this one, Linus.
Okay. And is this resonating with you? Like, first of all, a lot of the things she said, just from knowing you, like pretty on point. Uh, you're definitely full of candy, but the the mid-teen stuff is that like ringing any bells for you?
Not at the moment. Not
Okay.
at the moment. Like, actually, I don't have a lot of memories. I don't remember a
Yeah,
lot.
we were just talking about this.
Yeah.
I was just kind of thinking like maybe the reason why has something to do with this. Like if there was some sort of like timeline shift, then maybe it's like more difficult to like reach past that and access those earlier memories. Um, so yeah, there could be something to look at there. Um, and maybe that's why you're having some difficulty kind of zooming in on that, because that seems to be kind of something else. We haven't really come across anything like this before, but that's real
Mid-teen
interesting.
brown line like this way, like that. And there's
Oh,
candy on the one side, and then there's a little bit of candy that like starts getting like slower and then more and more and more.
yeah.
And then like almost like loneliness. Like it felt like loneliness. In the way that I saw it. I don't feel it, but I can only describe the way that I saw it as a feeling, if that makes sense.
Hmm. Okay, cool.
Okay, cool. Actually, growing up, I'm an only child, and I'm the first of my generation. So I don't have any kids in my at my age to play with. I'm always with adults, just learning how they're working, or spend time in school to have some friends to play with. Nothing at home.
Right,
But I also left Thailand by myself since I was like 7.
right.
So this alone loneliness, like being alone, was actually probably was big part of my childhood,
Hmm.
like learning to be alone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that could be
Well,
something.
we got we got a bunch of sessions, so maybe we can go deeper into this real
Yeah,
soon.
yeah.
Okay.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Nan. Uh, Emily.
Hello. I was
Hello.
waiting for you to say my name. Okay,
I think
guys.
you were the first one in here.
She
Yeah.
was. She was.
Pretty
You came
early. So
super early.
excited.
I like that.
Normally I'm not up this early, but
Me
Wait, what
neither.
time is it?
Well,
now
now it's 11, but
it's almost 11 a.m.
Oh,
But
you're both in
we started
Bangkok.
at 9,
yeah.
yeah, 9 a.m. So
Okay.
not my usual work time, but it's fine. Anyways,
Okay.
What are we doing here, Linus?
Just tune in, do your thing.
Oh, okay. Okay. Light green and yellow like little baby buds. Like the buds. Like soft and small. Maybe it's spring. I don't know what it is over there. Or if you have flowers. Or if you just like sense like a flower. I feel like there's like a like right here, it's like a line in between your head. Oh, what does that mean?
You zoom in on it.
It feels like security, but it is only causing confusion. Like for you. I think I think it's the deeper that you feel secure about it, the more confused you feel about it. Maybe through work or like through there's like it's not about your relationships, but your relationship for you doing something or moving towards doing something like life trajectory wise, which is why maybe it senses toward a type of work. And I don't even think it's confusion as in like, I don't know what I'm doing. It's confusion as in like this is this does feel secure and it's supposed to feel secure, but I'm also kind of confused because I thought that the security was the feeling that I was supposed to get, but it's also not what I'm exactly, it wasn't what I was looking for, but I think this is what I was looking for, and it must be this because this is what I got, and this is kind of what I had set out to get. And so I feel it now, but I don't know if this is actually what I wanted to be having.
Hmm.
And like a little orange and purple disc over the eyes. Like one here and one here.
And what do you think that might be about?
It's, have you seen those things? And they float in the water in a cylinder, and I think they float at a different amount depending on the temperature. Ooh, maybe you have an internal temperature gauge. You can really get shit like you're you could it's kind of like what me and Linus like get out of like you could like assess a thing pretty quick. Like size it up. Like not like a snake, but kind of like a snake will like look at something and know like can I eat it? Like I kind of think that those two are there for like if it's a fuck yes, it's a fuck yes. If it's a fuck no, it's a fuck no.
Mhm.
But there's doesn't seem to be a whole lot of waffliness in like the action that you've been taking back towards the line. I feel like this is all like these two things are even. Like these two things I think are informing about the feeling about this whatever the fuck line thing is. It's like comfortable and secure, but it's also like, is this what it's supposed to feel like? Like, is this even what I
Um,
did want it? I do want it. Like, I don't know. It's that kind of loops back again.
I'm feeling some energy shift right now.
Yeah.
And there is another wave of it. Um, it seems to me almost like because you have this thing where you can like size things up and you're like sure about what you're doing, there's this like confidence and certainty about what you're doing. But at the same time, this thing with like your work and the way you're going that doesn't seem so sure. But because you're normally so sure, like maybe that's what's causing this confusion.
I
Fill me in. I don't know what's going on, please.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
so
mean, like I started laughing when you said that because Lena's know me so well, and then I I think that you picked it up as well. It's yeah, like I'm so sure about what I want to do in life. Like I'm confident about what I'm doing, and I'm happy. And then like I have the really clear picture about my future. Okay, this is what I plan out. But at the same time, I have like some doubts here and there, and then like that keeps me why I am not progressing the way I want. It's still like it feels some sort of like stagnant energy that yeah make me confused sometimes about like where I'm going, even though I feel super confident about like my ability, and like I don't yeah like I fully believe in myself, but yeah, it's just a little bit of confusion and some yeah conflict energy.
it just smells like a traumatic memory to me. It,
To be honest, I think it has to be some memories which I don't know which memories it
yeah,
is. I know it has something to do with my past, but I just can't crack that. So I feels like this one thing it has to be something, because I
yeah,
feel like I'm moving forward and now I'm back to square one again. Like I don't know what's happening, but yeah.
yeah. I don't know. I've done this so many times. I just gotta get this feeling sometimes. Like there's a memory there somewhere.
Yeah.
Um, Megan, I don't know if you could tune into that wavy thing and see if you can pick something up. Um, Otherwise, you should come for a session and we'll figure it out.
Mhm.
I mean, I do feel like you just always seem to know how to get what you want anyways, though. Like, it's not really like you suck at anything. Like, if you put your mind to it, you do it. And then it's just the like, oh, I'm here now, what? Um, and that's like all in that this, maybe that's why the memory has felt like blocked because it's like it's through the middle of your head.
Hmm.
Mm.
And it's not made of something like a wafer or like Nan had candy. Like this is like a hard, like
Hmm.
maybe like the shape of bacon is the best way to describe cartoon bacon, the way it's like waving around. And it's got kind of like this red in it. It's hard. Maybe like if you ever saw a piece of plastic and you're like, that looks so shiny. I bet it would be good to bite. And you bite it and it's not squishy or anything. It's just really hard and it hurts your tooth. It's like that kind of thing.
Hmm.
Zooming in, there are layers. There's layers of like, this is so weird. It's like light brown to orange back to purple.
Hmm.
And there was also orange and purple here as like the indicators. And somehow the indicators are like inside of the red bacon strip. We'll call it that. When you're like over here, like 8 or 9, maybe 9 or 10. I don't know. I don't know how to guess. I'm trying to size you by how big your body shape looks like. It's like, this a big adult. This is you now. This is a baby. And like maybe this one's like maybe like that big, that age.
Hmm.
It's like really anxious. It feels like getting lost, but I don't think you're like lost. Maybe you're lost, but I don't think. It feels like the anxiety that would be similar to if you were lost.
Mm.
But like lost is such a broad sensation. I don't know.
Hmm.
Yeah, but I think it's okay because you're lost. I don't know. I feel like you have a boy around maybe a similar age-ish, give or take a few years. But he's like there too, in the sense of the feeling. But there's not really a whole lot of connection going on between you and that person. Even though you're aware that that person is also kind of going through like a similar-ish experience or has gone through a similar one at a similar time that you did. There's not really any like relying. on each other, just kind of even knowing that they're, I don't know why, I don't know who this person is, but they're just there. Maybe they're like a background character, like a lamppost or somebody you know. But there's like you there, and then they're like, oh, over here having their experience. But like it's visible for me. But you're not like, it's not like you two are like back and forth. It's like this, like
Mm.
they're doing it there, you're doing it here. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. It feels like growing up, I just had a lot of like anxious feeling around everyone in my life.
Hmm.
And then like probably like around like, like 7 to 10, like 7 to 12, I think that those were like age where I gained a lot of emotion and yeah, I love a lot of like, feeling around people. Like the anxiety, like when you mentioned like getting lost, I did like get lost a lot when my parent would take me somewhere and they would like totally forgot that I was here and like they walked away and I was like, oh my god, like where are they? And I started crying. It was like why would you not
I will
wait for
do
me?
it.
Yeah, why would you not wait for me? Why would you like leave me here and just let me figure out things on my own and like fighting my way to somewhere. Yeah, I think that was it was, yeah. But yeah, but anxiety has been around a lot my entire childhood.
Right.
Relationships and caregivers, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
That make a lot of sense. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Emily.
Yeah.
Um, Next up, we got Guillaume.
Hey guys.
Hey, hey. All right. Let's uh let's just get into it.
It's Guillaume?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Like silent secret L's, but they're not like English L's.
Mhm.
There's like a mint, like a mint. I don't understand. It looks like a mint, like a squarish, like a pillow shape, like if you buy a diamond and it's like a perfect cut square one that's like I don't know the shape name, but it's a square kind and it looks like a pillow kind of, but like it also looks like a mint. It's the same shape. I'm
Mhm.
getting at the shape. Like a square mint shape, like directly on top of your head. And like lines inside of it. It's like green, like I don't know, just a traditional mint.
Mhm.
And there's like a lot of orange outside, yellow inside. And the green mint.
Mhm.
There's like a really big sense of pride in something that you're doing. Did you finish it? It feels like you're like, oh, you're feeling, I think, really prideful about something that you've been working towards and on. There's been like a lot of like hard steps that you've been doing on it, but also like it hasn't been like completely soul crushing, but I think other people might perceive it as like, oh my God, that was like 10 million times harder than what you actually experienced it as. But I don't think that you experienced it as that because like it's like some of this stuff just kind of comes more naturally for you. So when other people are looking at you like, oh my God, whoa, like how did you just do all that stuff? I don't know, like building, like you built a thing. Maybe not in the traditional sense of building, but like think of building metaphorically. You just built something. You just like, I'm building this thing. I'm just doing it. It's kind of like creative in its own way, but I don't really feel like it's like strumming a guitar and writing songs or singing, even though you might be able to do that. I have no idea, but something that you build in. Just don't know what kind of building it. I think it's like an amusement. It's like a really big amusement that like wow, people just seem to think that you have it like so um like they see it so differently than how you see it, but like you're kind of getting to this place where it's like starting to just be funny, whereas before it was kind of just like, ugh, you don't get it, like just and then there's like two people below here and one person over here. And then like you're over here in like maybe a map of sorts if everyone's like a blob. I guess those are like mostly the visuals. Linus?
Hmm. Is there anything you're noticing where the energy feels more constricted?
Yeah, and the parts between where the mint is. Like the mint has two things kind of on the sides that don't really, they're not like solidified.
Hmm. Just
It's just,
zoom into that.
okay. I feel like there's like a sensitivity in there. It's not even a sensitivity about other people, though. Which usually I feel that when I'm doing it, there's something about sensitivity about like everyone else, but it's not really like too much about that. There's a sensitivity like in yourself, in how to express, maybe. I feel like the pride kind of blocks that channel and access to where there would be the felt feelings of exploring that side of things. And like there's kind of a sense that there wants to be going an opening to like dip your toe in the water a little bit and whatever this supposed sensitivity would be around trying it out, but like it's like those games where you like have to like get the puzzle piece out of like the one part and there's cars all in the right on the way. And so it's like trying to unlock this like one particular experience in terms of like, I don't know, a sensitivity experience. Like maybe sensitivity is supposed to translate to like an emotional type of an experience or like, I don't know, a feeling experience. I don't really know sensitivity. It could be anything, but that's just kind of like what it looks like. It's like the same bristly shape of a sensitivity.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm kind of feeling that what you're saying is very interesting about how the pride has blocked the energy from flowing where it wants to go. And I think that that'll give us a perfect starting point for our next session, Guillaume. Um, Pride is definitely a very significant thing that we can address. But how is all of this resonating for you?
It was a lot of information, so it was very confusing, to be honest. It
Yeah.
was going a little bit everywhere. Um, I'm not sure what to make of this because there's a million ways I could interpret it.
Hmm.
Um, I didn't have any particular. I was trying to focus on letting my mind maybe pull memories out of it, and it
Yeah.
was really going in non-meaningful directions. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
it was a little bit confusing.
Yeah. 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 But yeah, I did kind of get a sense of where we can go next with this.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, we'll talk about that next week.
Thank you, guys.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, Guillaume. Um, we got two more. We got Lisa and then Caio. So Lisa, hello.
She
Hello.
Okay.
Yeah, with like some blue over top of but like here and yellow with dark, dark, dark purple. It's kind of like the purple is like scribbled in with like a pencil crayon with like pencil crayon and white, maybe. Like diluting it. Purple is third eye chakra, I think, is it, Linus?
Maybe crown.
Is it crown?
I think third eye is more like violet.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, that color.
Okay. 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 Yeah.
It's almost like a dilution energy around that color. And like the yellow is outward. The yellow is outward and like kind of floating around and like reaching towards the edges of the egg. Maybe with like pegs moving outward. It's not really meant to be a place to step. I don't know. They're like steps going inward, which I'm like an open door policy, or like there has been a way that something or like I don't know, maybe the steps in the sense of something else coming in and being able to imprint in the field for you. And like a really light orange. It's like there's certain things that have been happening that like you don't want them to happen in that way, but you also don't know what to say or do to stop them from being in the way that they are. There's kind of a feeling of like, but I also don't really care because like I'm just being free and living around about it. But also it's like I also really don't want it to be the way that this has been. I feel like there's like work about that, like in terms of about the work or the job, but also there's that exact same, maybe not exact same, but a similar imprint around not like your relationship completely, but small facts in ways of things about a relationship that you're like, I'd be happy if this was like, all these things were shifted. But at the same time, there's this feeling of like, yeah, but I don't really care about it. But I do, but I don't. But I do, but I don't. It's like, again, this like inward, outward energy of like two things at the same time.
Mm.
And I don't know. I don't know what these like posts are for because the posts are coming in. And as they come in, like, is it a post as in like it's an open door policy? Like, I'll wait until something else outside of me tells me if it's okay. Like, I don't, like, I kind of
Mm.
am getting a sense of that feeling, but like, I don't know how to explain it that well, but like that they just look like little pegs, like this going outward, like that, and then like the things can trickle back down to you. It's kind of like Winnie the Pooh lives in his tree trunk and like he just gets mail delivered to him. He opens it, he brings it into his little like tree trunk home, but he's like in a tree trunk. Like kind of like that vibe, but it's different because it's like obviously not Winnie the Pooh.
Lisa, what's coming to mind for you?
Nailed it. The two things that have constantly been on my mind lately are work and relationship. And I've been kind of getting more spiritually inclined because I used to be very spiritual inclined, and then it kind of like it went away, and then it kind of came back. And I recently just went and seeked out spiritual guidance, and I was kind of hoping for answers coming in. And right at the beginning of this session, when I closed my eyes, I was saying, I'm open, guys. Come on in. My mind is open to you both. Take it, take it. And then you were like, oh, you're open. Yeah. So, yeah. And I'm always feeling things around my crown. I think I'd even, when Megan invited me to this event, I was at work. Oh, sure. Yeah. And then instantly, all this pressure here, all here, and then here. And then,
Oh,
like,
I just felt like a big like something when you were saying that.
yeah, I'm even getting it now here.
Yeah,
And
I
then
could feel it.
the waves were coming, the pressure at work, and some points I was even like, whoa. And then at one point, it felt like someone was actually going like this to my head and touching it. It was so, and I was like, ah. And then it was tingling, and I get that quite a bit. But yeah, when you were saying about almost being open, I've kind of been putting it out there like I'm ready to receive more guidance to, and then with my feelings of it really does bother me, but it kind of doesn't. That's so true. Like little things in the relationship, I thought that I don't know if I could do this because this, and then the next, I'm like, yeah, it doesn't even bother me that, and then constantly like that. So that was so on point in each and every way. And yeah, the feeling here right now, it's just like I don't know
I'm
how to
still feeling it.
heavy. It's like a heaviness.
I can't feel it.
Oh, I'm feeling it, baby.
You're feeling it. Okay. And
Yeah,
Linus is
here.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just feel it like around me. But when you're talking about like pressure in your head, like I know exactly what that is. That started happening with me also about like 2 years ago. Um,
Yeah, and I
I
also get what sometimes here, like you said, too. I'll suddenly
mm,
feel like if someone's pushing, like, geez, oh, it's here and here, here and here.
you might be developing like a similar kind of ability to what I have been developing because like every kind of sensation you've been mentioning, that's like specifically things I kind of experienced along the way too. Um, so yeah, that's very interesting, and I think
Yeah, I'm trying to be more mindful of it and focus more on it because I kind of forgot about it for a while. And then now that I'm more around like-minded people, it kind of comes
yeah,
back more, if
yeah,
that makes sense.
it does because it's
Yeah.
like you're connected through those frequencies
Well, like the
essentially. So
vibrations that you said, it's like,
yeah,
yeah.
it gets amplified when you're in connection with people that are matching with that vibration, so you'll feel it more.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I think you're on a really good track
I hope so.
with all of this stuff.
I feel good about the yellow. Yellow, I was like, yellow. Yellow, since you said yellow, I felt really happy and yellow. Yeah, yellow was always, I think of a childhood, I always liked yellow. It always resonated happiness
Mm,
and joy and um yeah.
okay,
So
very cool.
thank you very much. I appreciate it, both of you guys. I'm sorry I do have to love and leave you. I'm up at 5:15 tomorrow, so I do have to go and start winding down. But this has
Yeah,
been really informative. I've had a really great night. So thank you for all the information, and I look forward to learning more.
Thanks for
amazing.
joining, Lisa.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Good
you,
night,
Lisa.
everyone. Bye.
Good
Good night.
night.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, Caio,
What's up, guys?
my man, what's going on?
Hello.
All right, let's do the thing.
I feel like I'm gonna fall asleep. My eyes have been closed this whole time.
Yeah, we got one more.
Okay, okay, okay.
It's well nice.
Hello.
Hello.
I don't know if it's your voice or if it was something in your energy field that looks like a really, really, really dark blue. Like, Is it this side of your body? Sorry, my bad. I forgot we're in the mirror images of each other. It's like dark blue here and across. In the sense of like maybe like a light pink would be the accurate color. It's just so light. It's like see-through,
Mhm.
like a fog, like a mist. Yeah, like a mist. Like when it's really hot out and there's a sprinkler going and there's like really, really, really fine mist. It's like that, kind of like a little light pink mist. Mm. But like a red and orange line going extending up from here. And green as well. It's almost like a sense of outsourcing. Mm, I don't think I'm talking about outsourcing as in global trade, like,
But like delegating,
yeah, is that another word for outsourcing?
like getting other people to do stuff.
Yeah. Okay. That would,
Yeah.
yeah, that's exactly what I mean. Like giving the thing to like other people. Not giving it, because it's still yours, but like you're just getting, like if you get a house cleaner, it's like, well, you're not like, you're outsourcing it, but like it's
Yeah.
still your house and it's still your things. It's that kind of sense of like outsource.
Mhm.
It does kind of feel like there's a little bit of an attachment about the outsource. Like you want to get back what you're putting into it. But like not in a way that you're like, yeah, whatever, who cares, whatever. It's more like, yeah, whatever, but like it better work. Um, it better be the way that like the plan. It's kind of came as part of a plan, not really like a hardcore plan, but I think that it's as it's solidified into what it is, it's been a little bit more feeling attached to it. I think writing plans has served you well enough before, which is probably why the attachment kind of grows as you solidify certain ones. Especially because I feel like this is meant to really clear some, I don't know, some area for you. It clears an area pretty well if outsourcing is doing what it's supposed to do. I don't know, like, is there a doubt around it at all?
What I'm kind of getting is that like there's a care about the things being outsourced being done the right way so that it works. And if it works, then it would create some like space and freedom. But for that to happen, it needs to work properly. So maybe there's
But
some,
there's an
yeah.
attachment of wanting it to like it to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not just like a want, as in like, I'd love to have an ice cream today, but it's okay if I don't have it. It's like I need to have this ice cream, but it's not that hardcore either. I think it's like kind of got a little bit of a hint of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you put it in way better English than what I'm trying to explain it.
Is this resonating, Caio?
Well, I have some plans now. It's kind of like a new cycle that I want to do, or things that I want to do. Um, yeah, and there's kind of a feeling like, oh, this better work.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the only thing I can. Some investments, and new things that I want to start now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. So whatever whatever doubt or fear there's been around that thing working or not working, I think as that gets clear, that will actually be the thing that creates the freedom. Um, Again, going back to what we were talking about, it's really the energy behind it that determines the results you get. So as you're able to kind of let go of needing to control it happening in the right way is actually what will cause it to happen in the right way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
And there is some energy just moved right there. Okay, cool. Um, that's so interesting that I felt it just as you're saying, I agree. It's literally like agreement got into your mind just from you saying that, and it shifted
Yeah,
the
because
energy.
I've really experienced that many times where I'm like so fixated on one thing. And then at one point I'm like, okay, just fuck it, let go. I'll just um get my mind out of this,
Hmm.
even if it's just for a day, a few hours, and then right away I get exactly
Yep.
what I want, right? Without forcing it, you know?
Yep. Yep. Okay. Awesome. Um, Thank you, Gaio.
You
Um,
guys.
so we are about like I thought we would have gotten this far about 45 minutes ago. So we don't really have time to I mean, this is pretty much it for what we wanted to cover today, but unfortunately, we won't really have time to go into any of the like more in-depth clearings and stuff. But I will mention that if any of you wants to come for a more full in-depth session, which will be like 90 minutes, we will basically I will do my thing and Megan will do her thing and we'll sort of ping off of each other and get all of this stuff really cleared up in depth. If there's any interest in that, please reach out to either me or Megan, and we'll send over some information about how to move forward with that. We've done, as I mentioned, like three or four actually of these so far, and the results have been really quite incredible. So if anyone wants to do that, I'd be super excited to work with you. Um, I'll leave if anybody has any questions or thoughts or comments or feedback about anything you experienced today, I'll leave a couple more minutes open for some Q&A. If you got anything you want to say or share or ask, please raise that virtual hand again. Thank you, Guillaume, as well. Thank you.
It's
Thanks for
the
showing.
react button.
Yeah, there's just leave the Caio.
Oh, there's one thing that I forgot to ask. Like I think you mentioned you saw like a cross or something. Was it a cross? Like a
I,
cross or a cross?
I think across the
Cross.
the
It
blue
was
thing.
like dark blue, like that.
Ah, okay.
Mm.
Got it.
Okay.
I forgot to ask that.
What were you thinking about a cross?
No, I
That
thought you said like a cross. Like
that would be so cool if you had seen a cross.
Oh,
I'd be like,
no.
okay.
I feel like it's like abstract art, like when you walk into a museum and you're like, this is just like somebody threw paint on the wall, like all kinds of colors in different positions. So like a lot of the time it kind of appears that way. And then I have to sense into like the way that it could be feeling, but it all feels like, yeah, I sense make no English in that world for me, so I'm learning how to do it a bit better and like communicate it. Yeah, but
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? The floor is open.
Is it like any of the colors attached to like a feeling normally?
Oh, I did have one thing I wanted to mention about this that I forgot about. So thanks for bringing that up. Each of your energy centers or chakras, they come with colors. So the root chakra, which has to do with security, is red. The sacral chakra above it is orange. The solar plexus is yellow. The heart center is green. The throat center is blue. The third eye is violet, and the crown chakra is purple. So sometimes when Megan sees, sometimes there's kind of diffused or dispersed colors in the field, and not every time, but as far as I understand it anyway, sometimes that can be like energy that's sort of leaking out of those centers. We had one of our members in our community that we did one of these sessions with recently, where there was all of this like green sort of dispersed out. Um, and it had to do with a breakup memory. Um, and as we cleared that memory, all of that green started kind of moving back into the heart center. Um, so one thing I just learned recently that you can do is just a short little kind of meditation is you're kind of just work through all the colors. So let's say you close your eyes and you imagine that all around you it's just like the world is red. And then as you inhale, you imagine like breathing in all of that red. Um, and and then you just move through all of the colors that way. And as you're absorbing those colors, it will start to that energy will move into its right place, and that will actually start to balance out your energy centers. So that's just one little thing you can try out. Um, does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does make sense.
Okay, awesome. Guillaume.
I had a question for Megan, based on your earlier description when you were doing the readings for people, and you mentioned you were able to see things, pull up situations or memories based on the readings that you were doing when you were younger. I wonder how that in your work comes together with this egg and this vibrational field that you mentioned. Most of the readings that were happening today, I feel were most centered around colors and the shape of the eggs and those geometric patterns. And so I was wondering, how do you then use that, or yeah, how does that then play into pulling up memories or situations about people? Or is it the fact that you're seeing this field, then you're waiting for people to share memories and then put that in touch? I was a bit confused as to how does your younger experience relates to the work you're doing now with the eggs and with the colors, and how all of that connects together.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I feel like I've been working with Linus on this over the last few months, and I was definitely more open-minded as a child, so playing around with this kind of stuff, I think it was a lot easier for me to have more access to things. But as I kind of like got older and like hardened myself off against doing it for a long time, um, I still notice that I've always been able to see like the colors and the shapes regardless. Um, I can like ignore them a lot of the time, but sometimes like they're usually and they're always like changing and giving off a different vibe, if that makes sense, of like the egg field. So it's not like just because you have like one color now, like you'll have it forever. Um, which also makes it like
I get different
uh
readings every time. Like my field looks different every time she reads it. Um, but
and
yeah, go ahead.
oh, I was gonna say, because you had a second part of your question, which was addressing how does that work with finding memories? And I don't really know how to describe that part because I don't always find a memory. But what I essentially do right now, and this is kind of the process that I'm trying to like expand upon with like Linus's help as well, is like as soon as I see the visual and I have like the snapshot of what is the egg. Um, I don't, you might have heard him guiding me sometimes, like, can you zoom into that part? Or can you see it where there might be like more of a charge in there? And I don't really know exactly what makes some people easier for me to zoom in on and catch a feeling faster. Some people it's harder to do that. Um, I'm assuming that's just like a skill level thing or like something else to learn. Uh, but it's almost just like meditating on the thing. If you've read like the Kabbalah, they use the Hebrew letters and they meditate on each letter and the shape of the letter. And like I don't know Hebrew personally, but I've used the letters and the letters kind of the shape of them holds some sort of an energetic field in them. That's the idea if you were to do it in the Kabbalistic oracle deck way. It like became popular here for a while, so I know a little bit about it. Um, and so that's kind of the way that I'm trying to like fish out any particular memory or sensation or like a vibe of a situation. And the only way that I can determine if the vibe of the situation is present is like a present one feels in this area of the egg, but like when you're younger, it's done in like a size that I would feel it contained in a part, if that makes sense. But I
Um,
just let whatever the feeling is come. I don't like try to.
so when we first started doing this, when she was like reading my field and stuff, it was kind of the same thing where she was just describing the shapes and the colors, and I was thinking like, well, okay, that's cool, but what do I do with that?
So
Uh,
useless, right?
so so I just started asking her about the stuff that I thought sounded interesting, like oh, like what if you look deeper into that, like kind of zoom in on that, and um, I kind of had to guide her a little bit through that, and that's actually how we ended up finding the memory. She kind of had to go into certain things, and then sometimes memories would come forward. She actually described a scene from my school when I was like 8. That was the first time we did this.
Was that the first time?
I think so. You were like describing like the shapes of the roof and stuff like that. Yeah, that was really cool. Um, Literally like she was describing like the shapes of the buildings around my school. Um, yeah. Um, so yeah, it's not like 100% every time that we can pick up a memory, but very, very frequently we can. And I think as Megan continues developing the skill, I think it will be more and more accurate and more detailed.
Super interesting. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Okay. Anybody else have a question? I'll give it a couple more seconds. So if you got a question, better raise your hand right now. Okay. Then that will be all for today. Hit up either me or Megan if you'd like to move forward and do more of this stuff with our brand new 2-on-1 session format. If you want to be one of our uh, guinea pigs for that, please reach out. But either way, I'd just want to offer my appreciation for all of you for showing up and hanging out. And yeah, anything else you wanna say, Megan?
Yeah, thanks for all coming. It was fun. Um, yeah, I don't know. I'm just chilling and having a good time. So,
Okay. Thanks everyone, and we'll see you next time.
goodbye.
Okay. Bye.